that would rub them a little bit more the wrong way. I would love it if both these guys were like, no, we're going to do our absolute frickin' best and push on. And this series, of course, is kind of the physical statement of that.
Well, let's go ahead and introduce our players down here in the bottom left of Nimbus, winning that first game with a beautiful harassment-based strategy. It is My Insanity's jjajki.
And its opponent getting picked apart and needing to come back here. It's the blue Protoss first.
All right, we'll see how he can do this game. A very difficult map. Wow, we have a really nice audience. Thank you guys for coming down, checking out DreamHack Winter.
Sweden's amazing. These
is.
guys always come out. I know that a lot of people are talking about kind of the lower attendance for the first few days, but that's during the week. There's a huge CSGO tournament going on here, which is really, really exciting. But on Championship Day, everyone shows up. We love you guys.
Well, yeah, I think they're going to be well rewarded, Jeff.
I hope so.
There's a lot of great players left in this tournament.
They're too good, though. They're too good. That's the thing. Like, Tasia and First are so good that they made for bad games yesterday, in particular. You know, like the best series did not include Tasia or First. It was MC versus jjajki, two people that nobody thinks, and of course MC eliminated, of course won't, have a chance in this tournament. Yet they produced the best show, which of course is not the main goal of a tournament. You're not necessarily, well, depends on who you're asking, I guess, but for the players, putting on a show is not the most important part. It's just winning.
Indeed, it doesn't matter how they do it or how it looks, as long as they get it done. Well, it looks like in Control, we actually have a Nexus First from First.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because it's a build you don't really see that much because Reaper expands are very common. Normally Reaper can deal some damage, but in my opinion, this map is completely fine for Nexus First. It's very easy to make a wall around your mineral line to really limit the entry points of a Reaper. And being a 4-player map, they don't even find you first all the time.
It's good / fantastic. So in these positions for First, it's good. Had it been cross-map, it's fantastic. And I love the bunker here, actually, from jjajki. Nestled between the buildings. There's a chance.
Very annoying.
There's a chance this could finish. The Zealot's going to pop out, and it's going to be all about First minimizing his losses here. Now, with this economic opening, if he loses a probe or 3, that's okay. But anything beyond that in this opening gets bad.
Yeah, and generally, when I see something like this, the Reaper can get 2-3 probes quite easily. But right now we have some beautiful micro. He actually just kills his first one there. He did force that bunker to stop being built by killing off the SCV, so that's really good.
Oh, wow, 2 Reapers.
Yeah, but we will have this mothership core in a second. He's got to zone a bit, and the thing is, he lost a lot of mining time, so he doesn't have a stalker on the way, which is actually very important.
I believe he's lost 2 probes so far, and here's that mothership core. Pulls back the Reaper on the edge of its health.
Oh, man.
You know, with just 2 probes lost, and yes, you're right, he did lose some mining time, and of course lost that Zealot. I still gotta believe if you're First, you're happy with this. He's only up 2 Harvesters, so again, not the biggest of deals.
Well,
but
that'll get bigger with Chrono Boost as well. So, I mean, I agree with you. He should look at this and say, okay, it didn't go as well as it could have. You know, if I'm maybe the last spot he scouts, it's better.
Artosis, just a second. Can we take a minute to celebrate the awesomeness that is jjajki? So, he sees Nexus First. He equalizes with this Reaper harass. Doesn't pull a big advantage, but he's certainly not behind. It's probably equal. What does he do? Well, if you're going Nexus First, you have no access to early offense. I'll just go ahead and drop a 3rd command center, and there's nothing you can do about it. I love that decision.
I do as well, and I was thinking, and what can First do to counter this? The first thing that came to mind was Oracle, but he's choosing to go for a Robo. So he might look at this and say, oh, your Medivacs might be a little bit late. Maybe I should do a Colossus all-in. I think a build like that would be fantastic.
Ooh, super fast Colossus all-in. That's interesting. Yeah, my brain was leaning towards Warp Prism, but I think actually that would be the worst of the 2, just because if you can see here from jjajki, it's a 3 barracks follow-up, so he's going to have a ton of units, but like you said, late access to Starport means that he's not going to have the ability to really deal with Colossus. Now this Reaper's going to go in here. It does graze past that Robo, which means I do believe he sees it. We have to assume so. jjajki definitely saw the Twilight Council last time. But it's at a pivotal time. He doesn't know what it's for just yet.
You know, that Robo timing could be anything. He could be getting Observers. He could be getting a Prism. He could be going for a Colossus all, and you just can't tell at this point. So, not the biggest deal for that scout, but he definitely needs to see it because he has to know, is there any possibility? Oracle's coming. Could this be a Blink all in? Because he has to prepare for everything in a very different way.
Mortal first coming out here. We have jjajki going across the map. He's going to test the waters. I like this move as well. If there's no sentry, one of the weak spots of this map is that a photon overcharge doesn't actually cover the ramp. You can actually come inside the high ground as a Terran player, but he does have a sentry just about to pop out, so he'll have that one force field to buy time. And in that time, things like Warp Gate will finish and Immortal will step out, and he'll definitely have the tools to deal with this.
Yeah, but oh my god, concussive shell being upgraded so quickly for jjajki, really paying off, getting him a stalker killed right away, and in fact, deciding not to use that force field, going to save the energy and instead go ahead and use this overcharge.
Yeah, interesting. And the Immortal immediately gets targeted, actually. Nice positioning from first. He's going to try to pull it back. Does he have what it takes to hold? The Immortal dies. Yeah, I believe so. These Marines do not have the DPS to kill that actual Immortal, so pretty good control. He does lose the sentry. And while pushing into the high ground, I believe jjajki gathered enough intel to probably know he is facing that Colossus all in.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. You see an Immortal and you see the Robotics Bay. That has to be a Colossus all-in, right? And we see right now +5 gates on the way for first. This is going to be a very aggressive attack coming up, but the starport is not even done yet. It's halfway.
I mean, he's also building a bunker on that high ground, so I think he's just mining from that third for now, saying to himself, well, you're not going to be there for very long, so I'll get what I can. Marines and Marauders making their way out on the map. Now, what I like about this is that if First brings his mothership core in this attack, assuming he is the aggressor, a very simple counterattack could be what it takes to depower a lot of the production abilities and get in on that, get in on the mineral line and actually cut into the very heart of the Protoss player. But he's not really going across the map, so he might actually just be looking to flank.
Oh, yeah, that is a possibility as well, but I think you're right on the more base tradey type of scenario. I feel like this is going to be so hard for him to actually hold on. He's just getting a couple medevacs right now. Those are his first 2 in production, whereas we almost have out right now 3 Colossus with range.
Okay, well, I mean, certainly that's going to be the more powerful army, but getting that probe is a big deal. There's no Warp Prism. He stims 4. He's got to be careful. Just one force field does go down for the cost of a few Marines, but killing that probe means that another one has to be sent, which does buy some time. Without the ability to reinforce over here, of course, the Protoss push is just about half as strong. Medevac's coming out, and they're filling up with units. Yes, jjajki's going to go up into the main, and he's going to go across the map and try to force this base trade situation. We're not seeing the Mothership Core on stream. I believe it's actually flying back to the natural. So a Photon Overcharge should be enough to push off just this one medevac. The second one, perhaps by mistake, doesn't actually have units in it. It's not very dangerous.
Well, look at this. He's going to go ahead and fly over this Nexus and go to the second one. Of course, some units being warped in there, and he can use another Photon Overcharge. In the meantime, First starting to hit up this ramp a bit, but that's a lot of defense.
It's a lot of defense, and he's not really getting... I mean, his attention's split right now. He's back at home warping in Zealots. Meanwhile, that push continues at the front of the Terran base. There's Vikings coming out right now. There's a few medevacs out on the map. There's 4 bunkers there, which is going to take a long time to deal with. And notice the number of stalkers. I believe it's just 3 over here. So probe production resumes. So does the Twilight Council. And First says, you're just too well defended up there. I really can't chop you down fast enough.
Yeah, but he can continue to poke a little bit. You know, he does have these great range Colossus. Ooh, sloppy there, losing one of them. That is really, really painful. He has to know at this point, though, there's no way he's going to break this. He's going to have to go into more of a macro game.
He really is. And jjajki investing in those early Vikings, of course, that cuts into his ability to be out on the map. But even that being said, just a couple of medevacs really doing their job, kind of shoring up that weakness. And then I guess the other problem would be spending money on defenses. Well, those bunkers can be salvaged. So jjajki in the short term holds off this timing attack that probes stopped being made. There's no upgrades. It's really First that invested more heavily in this and did not get the returns.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you there. And in fact, being at the same supply when you already made 7 gateways and you already did some poking, that's not where you want to be as First. He should have had at least a supply lead here, but now jjajki on this third base is in the situation where as long as he lives for a few more minutes, he's going to be way ahead.
Yeah, and he feels it. He's going to push out on the map because that's exactly what he does. The one big point of concern for him is he only has the 1 medevac. He's building another starport. There might be a couple... Did he pull the boys? There's a string of something coming behind this army. I think, yep, he pulled the boys. So he's going to go for it. There's, of course, no storm here. They will have to go up this ramp, so his timing's a little bit weird, but he's got enough Vikings that the Colossus count's going to be in a lot of trouble.
It certainly is, but there are a lot of sentries, so he can't use some force fields very well. Pretty good force fields to start out with. He does have a couple of mortals to support as well, but the Colossus going down so quickly. The
Colossus dying essentially for free. Photon Overcharge is just being ignored right now, and all those gateways are exposed. The pylons immediately targeted. Say goodbye to 5 gateways.
No.
Still a lot of first here, and again, just the one medevac. So these stims are actually very costly for jjajki, but I gotta tell you, Artosis, he's gonna like back away and go home now. Great. He came into a limping first, did enough damage to really take away his access to things like Colossus, and all of a sudden, first is gimped again. Well, first is trying to do some counter harassment. Unfortunately, a little bit mistimed. If he had done that at the beginning of that attack, he may have destroyed a lot of SCVs, but jjajki can pay attention to it now, clean it up pretty well, and he's even trying to continue to harass and attack once again. Yeah, here he comes, and again, just the one medevac. So this army actually, it's much larger than first, but it's getting weaker as time goes on. Vikings are landed because there's no more targets for them. The Mothership Core died earlier, so no Photon Overcharge. 3 Immortals are very staunch, but just a few charge lots, and actually the SimCity kind of working against first right now. Yeah, the building placement is actually really what's getting him right now. His army is pretty decent against this, but he doesn't have enough gateways. Look at his mineral spike right now. He just can't spend his money. Stalker's up in the front over here. Immortals now being targeted down. jjajki surging forward with his all-red army. Again, I don't even know if it's going to be here in a moment. It's just straight trading. Now, a big deal was a lot of SCVs did die for jjajki, but in the meantime, he's dropping that natural. There's no third Nexus for first. He's getting picked apart once again. Well, it looks like first is probably going to end up losing this game in control. It is not looking good for him right now. He is doing some harassment over on jjajki's side of the map, so I don't think he needs to leave the game right this second, but I don't know how he's going to hold a couple more attacks like this from jjajki. Yeah, it's that third base. I mean, this harass is really nice, and if jjajki was just on the 2 bases, I mean, you look, he's not really upgrading either, so it's not like, you know, losing that forge is the actual death blow to our Protoss player, but the fact that he's on a 3-base economy, dropping those mules, really not missing a step, means that if once you watch that supply, it was just separated by 10, now it's 20, then it's going to go 30, and it's going to just continue to grow in the direction of Terran because his production is much more rampant at this point in time. You can see that. Look, already it's up by a good 40 supply right now, so very painful there for first. Still trying to get some harassment done, but jjajki has his Marines in position, in fact, is going to go for another attack. Yeah, I like the Archon use here, though. I mean, he had a lot of gas banked up, so getting some Archons out here is nice. Again, the medevac count's pretty bad. 4 are about to come out, so that's where that problem will be alleviated. But for right now, every time jjajki stims, he's just stacking up the double damage for those Archons to go for the mega hits. But this is a problem that is about to be solved. The medevacs that are coming out mean that he can kite forever. There's not going to be a lot of sentries. There's no Colossus, no Storm, and Archons can be kited. Well, he's trying to get Storm right now, but things are not going well for him. In fact, that Nexus wasn't even canceled. It was killed off. Oh, jeez. In the meantime, we do have some Widow Mines being popped out. In fact, First has decided I'm too far behind. Time to all in here. He's canceled that Nexus. Going to spend all his money on his army. And he pushes out into a beautiful concave from jjajki. jjajki's going to run right up the ramp. He is going in on this Colossus, but he quickly targets them down. The Warp Prism not in its flower mode, so not able to reinforce. Templar come out, Immortal comes out, but there's no Storm just yet. This should be the death throes of first. Everything is dying right and left. The Warp Prism will be shot down as well. GG's called out, and jjajki takes a decisive 2-0 in this best of 5. All right, well, I hope this isn't affecting first mindset in control, because, you know, I forgave him for that first game. His build didn't really line up right. jjajki had a couple good moves and killed him early. The second game, it's a very tough map. We saw that the way that jjajki actually ended up winning there is the kind of wonky building placement of first. You know, he wasn't able to really engage the army correctly. And then, of course, those drops into his back natural, he actually had a huge positional disadvantage. So, you know, this is... I can forgive first losing this, and I still think he has the potential to come back here. But a lot of times when you go down 0-2 in a big series like this against someone who's beaten you before in tournaments, your mindset is just going to go to hell.